whale watching right here in Canada.
Yes, you know, I guess I'm probably best known for my international travels, but right in our own Canadian backyard, there's some fabulous locations, especially on our west coast, which is right next door. I was on the west coast yesterday and just got in last night. But this is a boat that I've used many times in the formerly called Queen Charlotte's, now the Haida Gwaii as of about 2010.
Right.
And this is the boat we use. There's good populations of stellar sea lions. There's a big bull in the middle there. We had one come right over to our boat to have a quick visit. There's some introduced deer on the islands, which shouldn't be there, and they've been eliminated on some of the islands, but their populations are big. There's a black bear that was turning over rocks. Now, I actually filmed this black bear on the coast of Alaska last year, but in Haida Gwaii, there are some of the biggest black bears around, and they also get that big from the wonderful fishing that they can do.
Right.
Good birding, about 140 species in Haida Gwaii Park. There's some alcids, which are, I guess, the northern equivalent of penguins. They fill that same niche, but of course they can fly. And my wife walking through the woods here, and here's a bracket fungus that I came up to. And I suppose the Haida Gwaii, of course, the name Haida Gwaii means place of the Haida. These are some of the Haida sites. There used to be, before colonial contact, some 100 villages with about 10,000 Haida. Their numbers dropped to 350 by the turn of the last century because of the introduction of smallpox, but there's some very special places that one can visit. And in the forests, especially in the spring, it rings with the sound of birds. That was a type of grouse. Here's a small songbird from the canopy forests. And I suppose the thing that I like the best about all of these sailing trips is getting into quiet waters like this. Oh, it's so beautiful. This is crack of dawn, having our morning coffee with that morning fog on the water, and then, of course, evening sunset. It is such a spectacular part of the world. And in those quiet days, looking down through the clear water, seeing this is the lion's mane jellyfish. And then one evening, I had something, I think it was something nuptial going on here, but some calamari coming right over to us.
Nuptial.
I think so, yeah. and this is a fellow by the name of Tassilo. He's I guess, a modern-day hippie. He moved on to the islands in a place called Rose Harbor, right at the southern end. He operates a bed and breakfast down there. He came on board our boat and played some songs for us. He was absolutely amazing with his music capabilities. And this is his backyard. Wow. Some fabulous walks in the area. Of course, since he lives in the southern part of Haida Gwaii, he's right close to the famous Minstance former village with those beautiful totem poles. And I had to show this. I'm going to end with this bit of video. These are some humpback whales that came over to us. The Queen Charlotte's Haida Gwaii isn't necessarily known for its fabulous whale watching, but in the last decade or so, the populations have increased, and it's now theorized that the humpback whale population on our west coast is back to what used to be pre-hunted level numbers. So in other words, the population, it's very exciting. Yeah. These three whales came over and played with us for about an hour. They trained us to run from one side of our boat to the other because they kept going underneath our ship, making us run from one side to the other to watch them. And it seemed the more excited we got, the more excited the whales got. Wow. You know, these are big-brained animals, yes, and very social animals. There's a final goodbye breach at the very end, and here's our wee tot of wine at the end of the day. A beautiful West Coast moment.
Wow, thank you. I felt very swept up in that. That was incredible. What a beautiful part of Canada and the world. Yeah. Now you have an upcoming adventure.
I do. CMH, which is Canadian Mountain Holidays. Every year for the last number of years, they've invited me to come as a guest naturalist. That's heli hiking. During the winter, they're best known for their heli skiing. But this is heli hiking, right, where we use the helicopter as a taxi to get a vertical mile above the valley bottom in the Bugaboo area. And here's some of the peaks around. Actually, that's their Via Ferrata, which you can safely climb to the summit of one of the peaks. And I've actually done the Via Ferrata a couple of times. But this is the backyard. It is paradise up there. Oh. I've been mountaineering since high school, but to get into these types of alpine environments in the Purcell Mountains is a very, very huge chore. But with the helicopter, it's a taxi. into the high country. And then, of course, you go with the CMH guides, and I'll be accompanying on those heli hikes. And in the evenings, I'll present some of my favorite mountain slideshows and videos that I'll be putting on. So,
well, this sounds incredible. If you are interested, it's happening August 5th. And links and information to this, breakfasttelevision.ca. Always a wonder having you here, Brian Keating. Thank you very much for this.
You bet.
We're going to check.